Okay, so let me go into participants. Let me go into now there's no
For the new Workforce Position Review Request, or WPRR, as you will often hear us refer to the process with this acronym. We appreciate you taking the time to attend this training and do hope you find it to be informative. We are right at 1 o'clock. I want to be mindful and respectful of everyone's time, so we will go ahead and get started. Today's training webinar is being presented by the Division of People and Culture in partnership with the Team Transformation Foundational Delivery Team. My name is Michelle Thomisee, the Senior Director of Total Rewards and Shared Services with the Division of People and Culture, and also served as the project lead for the Foundational Delivery Team. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics, some background information, and what you can expect from today's training. Today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share the link with you after the event is complete. It will be posted on our website. We do welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with anyone you believe needs to attend the training. The training slides will also be posted to the website. Questions inspire conversation. Feel free to use the Q&A feature located. It should be at the bottom of your screen. We have a host of dedicated panelists in attendance today to monitor the Q&A chat. We will do our best to provide the answers in the chat as a direct response to that question. We also have 2 points within the presentation dedicated for questions, where I can pose some of the frequently asked questions to the presenters. We hope you can be fully present during today's training session by minimizing distractions. Next slide, please. Now, excuse me. Now I will provide you with a little background information on the Workforce Position Review Request process. First and foremost, at the top of your mind, I'm sure, is why are we changing? So if you'll think back to about a year ago, at the June Town Hall, Dr. Patterson presented Team Transformation. And then the following week, he sent out an email about Team Transformation. That is why we are doing the change. Workforce management was identified as a key opportunity area for a savings initiative. The foundational delivery team was established, and we began working towards this very moment. What is the goal of this process? So the initiative was a standardized review process for filling positions to ensure optimal allocation of resources across the organization. Who had input in developing and designing this process? The project team, the foundational delivery project team, was comprised of cross-functional team members from all divisions across the organization. I would like to thank each and every one of those team members for all of your hard work on this project. I know we hit a few speed bumps. We had to pause. We were waiting on other pieces of the initiative. And please know that all of your hard work did not go unnoticed, and we could not be where we're at today without each one of you. So thank you all. Next slide, please. Workforce management. What is it? So one definition is that workforce management is a set of techniques designed to allocate resources, improve efficiency, forecast workloads, and manage schedules. So as you can see here, indicated by the red circle, we have position review process. That equals our workforce position review request. That is one piece of the workforce management puzzle. It has connection points to other pieces, but the WPRR process is just one piece of the puzzle, if you will, in managing our workforce. As you notice, there is a yellow line coming from productivity reporting, feeding the position review process or workforce position review request. That is probably the biggest change will be the biggest change for everyone, is that if your cost center, and we'll go into this in further detail, some of them will require you to input your productivity reporting into your position request. Next slide, please. We hope this training will help you understand when to submit a WPRR, how to utilize the process, what are the two components of a WPRR, or really it's two steps to fill a position. The WPRR is the first step. Once approved, then it's the action within Workday being the second step. Where do you submit a WPRR? And what information is needed to submit that WPRR? Today's presenters are Tina Davis. She is our position control analyst within the Division of People and Culture, and Tom Tinker, our career services project manager. At this time, I'm going to hand the floor over to Tina, who is going to start today's presentation. Tina, it's all yours.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start off with the training overview, what we're going to learn today, and the training, the two-part training. So this is just an overview of what we will learn today. This training will be divided into two parts. For part one, this will be the WPRR process, and I will go through this process for initiating a workforce position review request, also known as WPRR. We'll go over preparing for a submission and the information that will be needed. And then I will then walk you through 4 demos, a new position request, and then a few backfill request examples. And then I'll close the loop on a few things once a request is submitted and what this will look like. We'll then open this up to a Q&A, but if you have any questions during and or after this presentation, please provide your questions in the Q&A, and I see that some are coming through now, so just submit away, and our moderators will be here to answer your questions. And then after I finish up part one, we will take a short 5-minute break. And then Tom will begin part 2, which is the Workday process. And this training, he'll go over the job requisition process in Workday and what has changed in this process, and then demo a few examples as well. And then we'll open that up for questions specific to that Workday piece, and then also any questions regarding the entire training. And then I just wanted to make note, and I'm going to make notes throughout the training, just some little ticklers and very important things to make note of. A link to the process guide can be found at the end of this training or at the top of the intake form. Okay, so initiating a WPRR. Before initiating a create position, edit position restrictions, or create job requisition action in Workday, you must obtain approval through this process. Or if through College of Medicine faculty through a JFR. This process will apply to requests for new positions and any backfilling vacant positions, either with no changes to title or with reclassifications. I'll go into more detail during the demos, but besides your general information that you're accustomed to now, including background information and funding and justification for the request, as Michelle mentioned earlier, a very important piece is the productivity information, and that will be new. And if you have not already completed the Power BI productivity training, this can be found in Workday Learning and the link found on the HR website. And you'll have to know this information prior to initiating a request. And very, very, very important, I can't stress this enough, missing information may delay the approval process. So make sure you have all the information at hand, all accurate information, because this can delay any request that you submit. Okay, so now that we have all of our information ready, let's get started with initiating a WPRR request in ServiceNow. So where do we go? A WPRR online form can be accessed either through ServiceNow or Ask HR on the DPC website. Direct access to this request in ServiceNow would be provided. Please consider saving the link to your favorites for quick access. Just a friendly reminder, this link will not be available until go live, which is on July 1st. And then I'm going to walk you through 4 different demos. Each will be slightly different based on the need. And then let's begin with submitting a new position. So we'll go through 4 demos. A new position we'll start off with, and then we'll follow with our backfills, which are 3, our backfill as is, our backfill with reclassification, title change, and our backfill with position change. All right, so let's go to our demonstration. All right, we're not going to go to ServiceNow, we're going to go to Workday. And everyone will have to go into Workday Learning in order to complete this, and you get a preview of this. So, sorry, I had to take a drink of water. Okay. So let's go in here. Bear with me as I get set up, but this is how you will access. All right. So it'll welcome you to the training module, provide you some information that we've already provided you, the purpose of the training, and then also some information as far as when do I use a WPRR versus a PMRR request, which some of you are familiar with. Not going to go into detail about this, but this is going to be available here as also on the DPC website and in the process guide. And then, as I mentioned, this is in 2 parts. Part 1 is the WPRR process and also the Workday process. Where can you submit? You'll submit it in ServiceNow through the online form. Link will be here. Save this as a favorite. And then what information do I need to have ready to submit? We've gone over that. And then we're going to go into detail about each one of these right now. Okay. So this process, just reiterates, does not start until July 1st. In the future, this little tidbit, this process will also apply to requests for agency traveler and contractor positions. You do not have to worry about that right now. So whoever this pertains to, just do your current process as you're doing right now. You won't have to worry about this until phase 2. All right. So new position. Here we go. All right, so this is going to be easy peasy. The online form is very simple. Again, if you have any questions between, as I'm doing this, put them in the Q&A and our moderators will answer them for you. All right. So you will use this form to gain approval whenever you need a new position or a backfill. Notice the box above that tracks the entry of all required information for your request. So we're going to start with the section General Information. You're going to click on this box and it's going to provide you a drop down. And it's going to provide you the 4 options, the new position, and then the 3 backfills. You'll click on New Position. Okay. Next one is, let me make this larger. How's that, y'all? Okay. All right. Proposed fill date. All right. This is the date that you want your incumbent to start. Now, please be mindful and be realistic on when your person is to start. Your person is not going to start next week, but because your person, you have to go through this process in order to get the person hired. So be mindful of your future date. So for this instance, we're going to use 7/31. And you can type it in this format, or you can use this little drop-down calendar. Okay. Next one is going to be senior leader. And this will be your senior leader for the area. And for this example, I'm going to select Dr. Kraus, Harrison Reed. Next field is going to be your SOC. Now, in this field, you can type in your department name, your manager name, or your SOC number, and it should populate. So for this example, I'm going to just type in the SOC number. You can tell I've already been practicing. Okay. And then once I put that in there, it should auto-populate for you. Make sure that you select this before you move on. So you see that SOC is Radiology Proton Center. So I'm going to move on to my next. My worker type, is my incumbent going to be regular or temporary? For this example, I'm going to select regular. Okay, so my next field is going to be current FTE percentage. Is my incumbent going to be full-time or part-time? If full-time, they're going to be 100% to 75%. If they're part-time, are they going to be benefits or no benefits eligible? So part-time is 74 to 50%. And then part-time is 49% to 1%. So for this example, I'm going to select 100. Okay. Next box is you're going to enter the names of those that you want to be informed about this whole request, whether it's the manager of your department or your HR business partner. You're going to indicate these people in this box. So we're just going to move on to the next one. Okay. So let me go back for a minute. All right. So this is general information. This is my first section. So let's just take a look at that for a minute. Pretty easy, right? So if we have any questions regarding that, just place your questions in the Q&A, and we'll go through this a few more times. And I'll probably go through it a little bit more faster since this section is pretty much standard on the other examples. But that's what your general information is going to look like. Pretty easy peasy, right? Okay. All right, so our next section is background information. All right, so your first question is agency contractors currently in use? For this example, we're going to say no. But if I ever selected yes on any of my requests, a field is going to populate and I will be required to provide the contractor agency information. So just keep that in mind. That's another one of those ticklers. So I'm going to say no. All right. Next one, do you have a vacant position that could be repurposed to fill this request? All right. So I'm asking this because this is a new position. So if you answered yes to this question, the ticket type is going to automatically change to a backfill, because if you say yes, you have a position number that you can use and it's not a new position. You're only going to use new position if you have exhausted all of your position numbers. All right. I'm going to read this because I'm not going to pretend that I knew this, because this is something that I just recently learned. Thanks, Michelle. The number of positions UIMS is authorized is determined by legislation through our Appropriation Act. To maintain compliance, positions not being utilized must be repurposed before a new position will be approved. So UIMS has only given so many position numbers. So before you request a new position, please make sure that you're looking at your cost center and making sure you don't have any position numbers that you can repurpose. And if you have exhausted all of that, then this is truly a new position. Okay. So next field is reason for a new position. All right, in the dropdown, it's increased volume, new grant, or a new program clinic. And so for this instance, we're gonna select increased volume. Requested title for new position. We're gonna state that I need a front desk 3. Okay. The total number of field positions with the requested working title in the cost center. This is where your vacancy rates come in. So I asked several of y'all, what's your vacancy rate? This is what this is. So total number of filled positions with the requested working title in your cost center. I'm asking, how many front desk 3s are filled in the cost center that you're requesting? So for this example, we're going to say 2. Then it's going to ask the total number of vacant front desk 3s with the requesting working title within the cost center. And that's going to be 1. And then whenever you enter that information, it's going to automatically populate your vacancy rate. Isn't that neat? I thought that was neat. Okay, no more calculating. All right. There we go. 33%. This little bubble gets in my way, but it says 33%. Okay. So let's go back to this section. This is your background information. Let's look at that for a second. Does anyone have any questions on that? If they do, please put that in the Q&A. Reminder, for the number of field positions in your cost center, you can always Search your cost center number and workday, and you can see the associated members and staffing. It's a little tidbit. Again, reminder, if this is an agency contractor, you will be required to provide that information. Okay. So now that we have done our general information, we've done our background information, now we're going to move on to our funding. All right, here we go. All right. First question, is the current position budget in Workday? This is very important. Reason being. For this instance, we're going to use 25,000. Okay. Okay, so remember earlier when I said it's very important to provide all accurate information, otherwise it could delay your requests. You will need to ensure that the position that you are requesting has a budget present in Workday. If the budget cannot be confirmed, it will not go to committee until it shows a budget in Workday. So for example, if you present a requisition or you submit a requisition, and in the position in Workday, the position number shows 0. That will be provided to the committee. And although on the backside, you know that it's been included in fiscal year 24-25, but it's still showing 0 in Workday, it has to show budget in Workday. If it does not, you'll need to get with your business manager in your area. I hope that makes sense. Because we just don't want any delays in your request. Okay. Funding type. You'll click this drop down and you'll have existing budget, externally funded grant contract, increased revenue, or other. If you select other, you'll have to explain that in your comments. And for this instance, we're going to select existing budget. And then you'll go to the next where you'll enter in your cost center. And for this example, we're going to put in 3328. And that is UAMS Proton. Make sure you select in order for it to populate in the field before you move on to next. And you have the projected position budget to be reflected in Workday. We're going to put in 25,000. Usually that's the same as the current position budget. Now, some of you are masters at NACOBU numbers. This is completely optional if you just know it off the top of your head or have it somewhere, you can place that here. But otherwise, you'll go to the next required field, which is fund number. Okay. We're going to enter in FD 123. And that is unrestricted contractual services. Okay, cost percentage is our next field. And this particular example is 100% funded from this fund number. If you have a second source of funding, you're going to select this. And then if you have multiple funding sources, you're going to provide that in the comments. Because the committee needs to know that. Okay. So if you have more than 5 funding splits for this position, or if you have any additional funding information that you would like to share with the committee, you can annotate this in this space. Okay. Okay, we're almost done, y'all. Okay, so this is new to everybody, the productivity information. And reminder, if you have not already taken this training, if you have the terms fixed and variable, you'll understand all those terms. If you have not, then please make sure that you take that training before you submit on July 1st. Okay, this section is about productivity information. There is a separate training. On the live form, you can press this question mark next to the productivity information heading to access the productivity training and productivity report. So that's just an easier way to get to all that information. If your area has productivity targets, this is where you're going to include that kind of information. And some of your areas won't at this time. And that's okay. But your areas, those you'll know if you have those targets. So for this instance, this example, we're just going to say no, based on budget FTE. And we're going to move on to the next. So every submission is going to have a summary of request. And this is your chance to justify the need for the request and provide any supporting documentation using the add attachments buttons as well. And you're going to provide your rationale, maybe why your target variance is over or under, what is the purpose of your position, any efficiency or savings. You're going to paint the picture for the committee. It doesn't have to be a book, but you're painting the overall picture for the committee to justify the need for your position. Okay. So I'm going to provide a summary. All right, so I'm done. I'm all done. So if I missed anything, it's going to tell me, but I haven't missed anything. So I'm going to hit submit. So I'm done with this demo. All right, so we are done with a new position. So let's move on to an example of a backfill as is. No changes, just a plain old backfill. General information is pretty much going to be the same. All right. Let me try again. All right, so backfill as is, no change. Reminder, add your questions in a Q&A and we'll answer them for you. All right, so I'm going to add my future date of when I want my person to start. I'm going to be realistic. I'm going to add my senior leader for my area. I'm going to add my department SOC. It's going to auto-populate. This is going to be my loan access. I'm going to type in my worker type. And I'm going to type in my FTE percentage for this backfill, which is going to be 100%. And then I'm going to put in anyone that I need to keep in the loop. All right. General information. Pretty straightforward. Same as the new position. Okay. All right, background information. This is not going to be agency contractor. Position number. I'm going to put in my position number for the backfill. And when I do that, it's going to populate what that backfill is going to be. So this position number is going to be a call center operator. And then here we go with our vacancy. Oh, wait. Apologies. Back up. Going to ask me a new question. Has the position number provided ever been occupied? I'm going to say yes, because it's a backfill. Date position number provided was or will be vacant. So if your person hasn't yet, quote unquote, terminated, you're going to put that in. If your person has already terminated, you're going to put that date in. So for this instance, we're going to put in March 22nd. And when I do that, the number of days this position has been vacant is automatically going to populate for you. All right, now you need to provide the number of filled positions with the same title. So this is the vacancy. I get excited about this area here. So, okay, here we go. Total number of filled positions with the requested working title in the call center. So how many filled positions do you have in the call center for a call center operator? I'm going to say 5. How many vacant ones for a call center operator do I have in the same call center? I'm going to say 2. And when I do that, it's automatically going to populate. So it's saying that I have a 28.5% vacancy rate for that cost center, for that title. So let's go back. Background information, backfill information. This is backfill. Has this position number ever been occupied? Yes. Pretty straightforward. Okay. All right. Funding information. Very, very important. Make sure your position number has a budget showing in work day. Funding type. Is it an existing budget? Is it externally funded? Is it increased revenue or is it other? This example will be existing. I'm going to put in the cost center. It's going to populate access. My projected position budget. I'm going to say it's 25,000. The COBU, you know that, put that in there. My fund number is going to be FD102. And enter, it's going to auto-populate. That's unrestricted hospital funds. And this person is going to be 100%. Reminder, if you have more than one funding source, you're going to select this and you're going to provide any additional information in this funding comment. Okay. Okay. Productivity information. For this example, we're going to choose variable. And for those who have taken the training and or is a variable department, you'll know what this is. So we're going to select variable. So my department is a variable department. It's asking me for an average productivity index. And all of this will be in Power BI. It will be right there in front of you. There won't be any guessing or hunting or pecking, or it will be right there for you. Average productivity index, what it's asking is the average of the last 4 pay periods is what your average productivity index will be. And for this instance, it's going to be 37.4. So whenever you submit, you're going to submit your last 4 pay periods. So in this instance, right now, I think is 2024 is the last. So we're gonna hit submit. You can enter it in that format or this dropdown. So for 5/25 pay period end date, the productivity index for this pay period is going to be 37.8. And a reminder, this is going to be in Power BI under your summary. It's going to be so easy. And if you have any questions, we have resources to help you. Okay, worked hours, 4696.28. The unit of service volume is going to be 2758. And then our RUPOS, if you're asking what that is under your definition section whenever you take your training. And then your variable target for this cost center is 0.644. All right. So we're going to speed ahead. It just populated all 4 of them for us to save on time. If you have any additional questions or you need additional assistance with productivity related questions, we're providing an email address there. And like I said, all this information is going to be available to you after this training. So no need to worry. And then you'll provide your summary, providing your overall big picture to the committee to justify the need for your position. And you'll hit submit. Okay, so that is the productivity section. So give you a few seconds to provide any Q&A there before we start on backfill with reclass title change. All right. Here we go. Same thing. This example is backfill with reclassification. We're doing a title change. So this one is going to be, this field is going to be different as regarding, it's going to have a field different from the rest, is it's going to ask for a requested title for reclassification. So we'll come across that whenever we're doing this. So general information, reason for request, proposed fill date, same as the last, when you want this person to start, your senior leader, this one in this case is Dr. Weber and Robin Tracy. Going to enter in your SOC. Reminder, you can enter in your department name or your manager's name. It's going to autofill or auto-populate. Worker type, in this example, it's going to be regular. Current FTE is going to be a full-time 100%. And then you're going to include anyone that needs to be in the know. So this is your general information. Same as the last 2. So we'll move on to background. This is not an agency contractor, but if it was, you'd enter that information. I'm going to enter my position number. Which is a research associate. Okay. So here's my new field for a backfill with reclass title change. What do I want to change this title to? No longer want it to be a research associate. So I want it to be a research specialist 1. Okay. And all the other ones are the same as the last backfill. Has the position number provided ever been occupied? Yes, because it's a backfill. Date position number provided was or will be vacant. Okay. Number of days this position has been vacant will auto-populate. Total number of filled positions with the requested working title. I'm going to select 4. Total number of vacant positions with the requested working title in the cost center. 1. And once you enter that information, it will auto-populate. So let's go back for a minute. Total number of filled positions with requested working title. This is the requested title. So how many filled positions in this cost center for this requested title, not for this title? So if you're doing a backfill with reclass for a title change and you're requesting this position title, how many you're determining a vacancy rate based on this requested title. So I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so there's our background information. Right? Move on to our funding. Okay. Okay. Friendly reminder, make sure your position has a budget. Right. Funding type, existing budget. And let me just give you a little important information. So let's drop down this again. Let's go back. Let's drop down. Say I included if I selected increased revenue. If you choose increased revenue as an option, you'll be required to attach an increased revenue volume justification worksheet. So I just wanted to throw that out there. This worksheet can be found on the WPRR website. So I just wanted to include that in there before I forgot. So if you select increased revenue, that has a required attachment to it. But for this case, existing budget, and then move on to cost center. Administration. Projected budget. Nakobu. Funding information. This one will be 101. General unrestricted. 100%. Reminder, anything, any other funding sources, you'll select this and provide it in the information. Okay. For this example, we're going to select a fixed productivity information. Same thing. It's just a different type of productivity. You'll go in Power BI. You'll select your last 4 pay periods in order to get your average productivity index. And there's no guessing, it'll populate that for you. So in this case, it's 95.3. Your last pay period ending is 25, or you can use this drop down. Productivity index. Worked FTEs. Paid FTEs. Your target paid FTEs. And then that's going to auto-populate to save us some time. And then after you fill all that information in, you're going to provide a summary. You're going to paint the picture. Not a book, but short and sweet with all the specific details of why you are in need of the position. And then you'll hit submit. Okay. Let's do one more. I got you for one more. Okay, so this is a backfill with position change. This is an FTE change. And an FTE change we'll have a field, we'll have a new field from the rest that will include a proposed FTE percentage. So we'll look for that whenever we enter in this information. So we're gonna select backfill with position change or proposed fill date. See, by the time we get done with all this, everyone's gonna be a master at this because we've gone over it like umpteen times. Senior leader is Stephanie Gardner, your SOC.
Hey, Tina, we've had a few questions on that SOC field there. For that department, that is your department. You can search by name and or department manager. You don't have to know your SOC number specifically. So if I was to backfill a position or request for a new position, I'm going to type in Thomisee and my department list will populate there. Thank you for allowing me to interrupt.
Oh, no, absolutely. Interrupt away. Okay, so worker type is regular, current FTE. Okay, so this is where your backfill with position change, FTE change comes into effect. So your current FTE is at 50%, but you're wanting to change it to 100%. So you're wanting to go from part-time, current, part-time, and what do you want your proposed FTE percentage to be? Do you want it to be 100%? Or how this example, but how do you want to change your FTE percentage? So that's what your backfill with position change will be. So for this example, we're changing a current part-time to a proposed 100%. And then you'll select who needs to be in the know. And then your background information. They're not a contractor. Position number. Auto-populate whenever you put that in there. This person is a senior finance manager. Has the position number provided ever been occupied? Yes, it has, because it's a backfill. Date position number provided was or will be vacant. I'm assuming, Michelle, I need some help on this one. I'm assuming this is the date that you're wanting to transfer the person from or in this instance, 50% to 100%. Is that correct?
So it is the date that the position number you provided up above will be vacant, either was or will be vacant. So just the last date that someone held that position or will hold that position. If someone provides their notice and it's a month out, yay. Not yay to them leaving, but they gave a great notice there, right? Then you can go ahead and start the recruitment process for that position and put in their last day. If they've already left, then you would again put in their last day. It can be past tense or future tense. If it's future date action, that corresponding workday action for that employee will need to be in workday as well. Because if it's currently filled, we are validating that it will show as vacate on date.
Okay.
Two people cannot occupy the same position.
Gotcha.
On an ongoing basis. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so vacancy rate. The total number of filled positions for the senior finance manager in the cost center will be 2. Total number of vacant positions for a senior finance manager title will be 4. And that will auto-populate. All right, and then funding information. Important, make sure your position has a budget. Select existing. And then if we go back here, I believe, if we selected externally funded grant contract, I believe an additional field would populate, and it would populate to where you would have to provide the grant contract information. Is that correct? Michelle?
Correct.
Okay, just making sure. That's just a tidbit for y'all. I just wanted to make sure I included.
I'm verifying. I'm looking at the process document now, process guide.
Yeah, I saw this because the current process now is if it's grant or contract, we ask for the NOA or the grant fund cost center information.
Yes.
And I believe, yes, I believe if you select the grant contract field, an additional field will populate asking for that information. But in this case, we're going to select existing budget. And then we'll do cost center. The projected budget. The COBU, add that if you know it. And we all, as far as this, we want you to add this. So, yeah. So FD 101 is unrestricted general funds, and then this one will be 100% funded. All right, and for this instance, this one is not going to have a target set by Huron. So it's going to be based on the budgeted FTE. So we're going to select no. And then, of course, you'll paint your picture to committee, justifying your need for the position. And you're done. So to circle back around, once you are done with submission, to check the status of your submission, you can access this by selecting My Requests on the ServiceNow ribbon. So whenever you hit submit, you're going to receive, with any ServiceNow ticket, you're going to receive an email. And then you can also go to ServiceNow to check the status of all of your ServiceNow requests. And then you'll go to My Requests, and then it'll list all of your requests and what their state is and the last time it was updated. With any ServiceNow submission, you'll receive an email notification. You will also be able to access the detailed information, as I stated before, and where it is in the process. And then during the process, if a few things you may see after submitting the request, if additional information is requested, this will be indicated in ServiceNow. And this information can be provided provided by typing in the information in here in the type your message here field, or if documentation is requested, you can select this paperclip and attach your documents here. The reason why I circled this is if you have a question, rather than canceling your request, ask your question first before you cancel the request, because it's always best to ask a question rather than just cancel your request and then having to do the whole thing over again before you have clarifying questions. So that was just a note for me to provide y'all. So approvals and denials. Once the request is approved, an approval number will be initiated and sent to you. Very important. The approval number that is sent to you, you have to have this number in order to submit the associated Workday business process. So in order to go to part 2 of the Workday process, you have to have an approval number. And your approval number will look something like this. And it's not our fault it's this long. So we're not doing this to you on purpose. It's just that long. So you'll have an approval number. If the request is not approved, this will be indicated in ServiceNow. I know there is currently with Workday, it's hard to provide feedback on the status of a submission, but now that it'll be in ServiceNow, we'll be able to talk back and forth on the status of requests. And if for some reason it didn't move on to the next step, that'll be provided in additional comments in the activity section of the case, for whatever reason that is. I mean, there's different reasons, but that'll be provided as well. Reminder, if you have any questions regarding part 1 of this process, please enter them in the Q&A, and the moderators are very good at answering. It looks like we've already answered 53 questions. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. Okay. So now that you have an approval number for the request, you're all set to submit a job requisition in Workday. But before we do that, we're going to take a 5-minute break. But I am going to provide this little note before we do that. The WPRR approval is an approval to recruit for the position. Final determination for titles and compensation will be reviewed by DPC compensation team once the respective Workday actions are initiated. And Michelle can probably provide greater detail into that very important note. But we are going to take a 5-minute break if Michelle doesn't have anything else. And then Tom is going to pick up and discuss the part 2 of the workday process.
Thank you, Tina. Yes, I think we'll pause just for a second. I see people typing in the Q&A chat, so I'll give them just a moment to get some of those questions in. While they're doing that, I will allude to the workforce position review request is request for permission to recruit for a vacancy or fill a position, whether it be new or existing. Okay. That is part 1 of getting your position filled. Tom will then cover, once you get that approval confirmation number, you will reference that within the corresponding workday action business process, the workday business process to take that action. That's how you kick off that business process equals taking action on that request for approval. We've had a few questions around the pay periods within Power BI. Please keep in mind that if your cost center has established productivity, whether it be variable or target, everything is driven by cost center. So if the cost center is primarily biweekly, but there's some monthly mixed in there, you would select biweekly. So and then that position is biweekly. You're going to select the last 4 biweekly pay periods. If it's monthly, then you'll select monthly. Power BI has both pay periods within the productivity summary. Give me just a moment while I peruse through here. Okay. A few questions around the approval denials. It will be documented within ServiceNow. However, you don't have to keep checking back there. It will also kick off an email to you as the initiator and anyone you put on that watch list. Everyone in that watch list will get the updated emails. You'll get an email notifying you. It's a notification email that a comment has been added to your case with what that comment is. All right, I think we can go ahead and pause.
Michelle, I'm going to go ahead and unmute real quick because it looks like there's some questions about folks who've already submitted job requisitions this week or today. If those will still be looked at, or do they need to go and cancel it and wait till the 1st?
Last day to get a job requisition into the current process is today at 5 p.m. If it is submitted after that date, it will be closed with next steps and directions on what to do, which is to kick off this request on Monday, July 1st.
And then another question that I've been seeing, do you know what the ETA turn time for this process is?
Terry Lanier is one of our panelists. Can you speak to that, Terry?
Struggling with my unmute. Okay, so is the question regarding like when you put it in, how long till you hear an answer? I'm sorry, I didn't see the question, Tom.
Yeah,
Yes,
so the
that's
question,
correct.
that's it. Yeah, what's the estimated turn time for this process was the question.
Okay, so it'll be similar to what we have now, right? So you put it in to ServiceNow, it goes in her queue, it goes on the agenda, the committee meets once a week. They respond approved or not approved. Either way, the response is put into ServiceNow and you will get notification of that. If it's approved, that will be immediate. The position control analyst will update Workday immediately. If it's not approved, then it stays in that status until the committee changes it. Does that answer the question?
What day of the week do they meet?
We have been meeting randomly, but starting 7/1 because of this new process, we've plan to meet on Thursdays, but it's the senior committee. I mean, it's the executive leadership team. So Thursdays are plan unless they change it.
So if Thursday's the meeting date, what would be your recommendation for them to submit this process to be in that Thursday meeting?
Yeah, so our cutoff will be Monday, right? So by the Monday before that, we will send that week's agenda. That Monday evening, we will send that week's agenda into the committee. And so if you miss that deadline, then you're on the next week. Good question.
Great. Well, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a break. Tina, if you'll stop sharing, I'll go ahead and share and get the counter on here. So we'll go ahead and take this 5-minute break. So whenever this stops, we will start again. So the job requisition process, creating the job requisition. So we're going to talk first about what has changed since the last time that we put together a create job requisition training. The WPRR process that Tina just went over is going to be replacing the hiring request form that is currently in our create job requisition process. So this will make the job requisition process much more streamlined. Some of the other changes is that have happened with on the job requisitions is you can now see who the incumbent is on that job rec. So either who's currently in the position or who was, as long as they were in Workday. Remote field is available for those who work remotely or part-time remotely. Assign roles. You can now assign your roles as either the recruiting coordinator, and you can also add the recruiter for the job rec. Reference checks are now available in Workday. If you want more information on that, please speak with your recruiting team. The approval confirmation number for the ServiceNow or approved GFR number, that's the process that Tina just went over. We're going to show you that in the demonstration. The designated recruiter field, it's a new field. So you'll not only put your current department information in there, but you'll also be able to identify your recruiting team. And the approval process has been shortened. So for most of the campus, it'll be the initiator, which is whoever's entering the create job requisition, the compensation team, and then the recruiting team. If you are College of Medicine, there is one layer added, which is the department head, which is standard for the College of Medicine. But other than that, that's the approval process. So it's streamlined it. So it should be very, very quick once you've initiated that job requisition. To prepare for the create job requisition, you want to make sure that you have that approval number. You also want to make sure that you've got an updated and approved position description. And then also that the position is updated in Workday. So you want to make sure if it's a current position that the edit position restrictions are correct. If it's a new position, you'll just want to make sure you create that position because you can't enter a job rec request until you have that position in Workday. And then obviously the job requisition process, which we'll go over soon. There are QRGs in Workday for all of these. These were just updated this week. So those are live and you'll be able to find those in Workday. I just want to talk a little bit about just quickly about what we're asking you to do. So when you have the approval, you'll want to go to your edit position restrictions. You'll want to check 4 tabs: the position overview tab, the hiring restrictions tab, the default compensation tab, and the additional data tab for accuracy and consistency. So that if anything is missing or if there's information that is outdated, please make sure you edit those position restrictions before you create a job rec. And I just want to go a little bit into the weeds very quickly. On the position overview, you'll want to look at your cost center, fund number, NACUBO, and personnel service restrictions or PSR numbers, that those are all correct. You'll also want to make sure that the job posting title, the summary of job duties, and qualifications are correct. If they're not, please edit your position restrictions. On the hiring restrictions tab, the location, time type, worker type, and worker subtype. Review those, make sure they're correct, or if anything's missing, we ask that you edit your position restrictions. On the default compensation, there's nothing that you can edit on this, but there is, you just want to make sure that there's information. So you'll want to make sure that there's a plan type that'll be salary or hourly. You'll also want to make sure that there's a compensation plan, which is either general salary plan or hourly plan. And then also an amount for the position, the salary. The edit position restrictions, there's a additional data tab. That's the last tab we ask that you look at. This is in 3 sections. You have Chronos information, position data, and position percent. Make sure that all the information is correct, as some of the information in this position data section does show up on the job posting. So if it's incorrect or it's missing, it will reflect on the job posting. For example, the physical requirements for the position do not show up on the job, or they do show up on the job posting. So just make sure those are correct. If any updates are needed, please update before creating the job requisition to ensure that your posting is correct. For the create position, you'll basically be entering in all the information on those tabs, the position overview, hiring restriction, and additional data and compensation will enter in the default compensation information. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on with the demonstration. So I went ahead and I did not log into Workday purposely because I wanted to show you another way of getting to the learning module that we're just talked about. So this actually took me in, but I want to show you how to get to it. If you go over to your menu, up in this left-hand corner, scroll down under apps to learning, and then type in WPRR, hit enter, and you will see this process is under learning. If it's not showing up on your screen, it might be under more categories if you don't have it saved, but it's in the learning part. And so you just click on that and you can go ahead and begin the course. Okay. To start the course, I'm going to actually move forward through the part that you've already done. And that's what you'll be able to do in Workday. So if you have a question about one section, you don't have to watch all of the demos to be able to get to that one section. Okay. So once you have that number, you want to make sure that you save that number because you're going to need it for the creating the job requisition process. Okay. And this information here is what I just spoke about in my slideshow. And there's a little bit more too. So I recommend reading it when you take the course. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create that job requisition. Okay, and now I'm going to make it so that you can actually see my screen. Okay, so the first thing that you'll want to do is you'll want to enter in your position number if you have one, you should have one. So if it's a new position, you'll do that create position and get that position number. And it starts with a P, and you'll just enter that here, and you'll hit the enter key. Workday will show you, and it's under recruiting and staffing. So if it's not in your saved categories, you're going to have to find it in your more categories. You're going to want to click on, you can either click on the link or click on the related actions right near the link in order to get the menu that you want. So if you click on the little Twinkie here, we like to call it's the related actions button, and it'll open up a pop-up. You'll scroll down to job change, and then you'll hover over job change and you'll click on create job requisition. This is going to start the process. A pop-up will show up. This information up here is new information that we've added for instructions. Please read that to get better understanding on how to fill this form out. But I'm not going to go into it on this call. So you'll go ahead, and because we started this process from the position, it already enters in the supervisory org and the actual position number. So you don't have to enter that information like you would if you started from create job requisition. So click your OK button. Again, the instructions are up here. Make sure that you read them. You'll see over to the left side, you'll see all the different steps for this process, the different sections. As you go along, it's going to move you through. If you ever need to go back or forward, you can just click on one of these to get to that section. So the first section, recruiting information. If anytime that there's a pencil, that means that you can edit. So you'll click on that pencil and you'll enter the information. The first is the reason. There's several reasons that we use, and those are in those instructions. And for this purpose, for this presentation, we're going to use the search in Workday without a search committee. For UAMS, because we share this process with other campuses, there are several selections. The only three that we use are either searching with or without a search committee, or with an evergreen, if this is sourcing from an evergreen posting. If it's a contingent worker, which is a different training and a different process, that's when you would use the contingent worker. But we're going to use without a search committee. You can see this is one of the new fields, the replacement for. So this shows you who the incumbent is. If that is blank, you can go ahead and just leave it blank. That just means that nobody was in that position since we've been live in Workday. The next field is in recruiting instructions. You'll want to enter in whether you want it posted or not, internally, externally, or if it's sourcing from an evergreen and you don't want it posted. We're going to go ahead and select internal, external for this. The recruiting start date and the target hire date. Workday is very date sensitive. And so if you put a future date in there, that means that we won't be able to start recruiting until that date arrives. So if you put a future recruiting start date, we won't be able to post that job until that date arrives. If you put a future hire date, we won't be able to hire someone into that position until that date arrives. So I would recommend that it be either the current date that you're in or very, very short time after that, not too far in the future. And I keep clicking in the wrong section on here. So we're going to use the 11th, which is when this training was developed or finalized. And then we're going to do the target hire date the same date as the 11th. We're going to click next to go to the next section. That's the job section. This is going to be job details. Most of this information is going to auto-populate. So this is really important. For this demonstration, we chose a position that did not auto-populate, so you'll know what it looks like. If the job requisition does not auto-populate, that means your position is not ready. So you need to go and fix it. So you need to stop this process and go back and edit your position restrictions and fix the position. It's very important because if you don't do that, it is quite possible that when we hire somebody, we'll either get hard errors where we can't fix it, or their benefits and payroll will be incorrect, and we'll have to again fix that. So fixing the position on the front end is very, very, very important. So click on the pencil to go ahead and edit this. You'll want to put the job posting title here. Again, it should auto-populate from your edit position restrictions. The job profile, again, will auto-populate from your position restrictions. If for some reason this isn't the right profile, you'll want to fix that on the position. Summary of duties. Again, we showed you for this demonstration, we wanted to show you what it looked like when the position was not set up. So this is one that we would, if we were live, I would cancel this and edit the position restrictions. However, for these purposes, we're just going to go ahead and move forward. Just realize that if anything that you put on the job rec here is not going to feed back to the position. Now, the position will feed to the job rec, but not vice versa. Okay, and this is also the qualifications. These will auto-populate. Additional information or requirements, this does not auto-populate. We recommend that you enter the, from your position restrictions, the job duties or responsibilities section, or if there's any requirements, like if there's masking requirements, if you're in a clinical position or things like that, that would go here. Work with your recruiting team on that. For evergreen positions, we do enter the ADA information here. The worker subtype, time type will auto-populate from the edit position restrictions. For subtype, it's a regular or temporary position. If that is incorrect, if it auto-populated incorrect, that means your position's wrong. So when you hire, so fix that position before you you'll stop this job rec and you'll fix the position and then you'll create a new job rec. Time type, again, that will auto-populate. It's going to be full-time or part-time. Remote type, this is a new field. You're either going to select that the remote work is an option, is not available, or it's a remote work only. This is important for reporting purposes. So please, even though it's not required, we're asking that you select what's applicable. And this will be on the posting as well, too. Primary location, this is always UAMS. So you always want to type UAMS here. Do not type the city because those are the only cities that are in this field are associated with our other campuses. If you put another campus in here, it will not post correctly to our site. So it's very important that it's always UAMS. The primary posting location, however, it'll default to UAMS, but you want to remove that and you want to actually type in the city. So for this training, we're going to go ahead and type in Little Rock. And then when you do that, select the actual city. Now, be careful not to select one that has another campus's initials on there, because again, it will make the posting inaccurate. Additional locations, this should be left blank. This is only if and we're currently not doing this that I'm aware of, working with another campus to fill a position. So if it's a position working at both of our campuses, but I don't believe we're using that right now. So leave that blank. Additional job postings, this would be locations. This would be used if the position itself maybe physically went to different locations. So it may be the main campus be here in Little Rock, but it may also work part-time in North Little Rock or Pine Bluff or some other area. That's when you would put that additional locations in here. Otherwise, just leave it blank. The scheduled hours, the weekly hours, that will default to 40 always. Make sure that you change it to what the exact number of hours are that the person's working. So if it's part-time, make sure you change that. Otherwise, it shows up part-time 40 hours on the posting, which is inaccurate. Work shift, this again is not required, but we ask that you select it for reporting purposes and also for whenever we hire the person. There's day shifts, evening shifts, night shifts, shifts that vary, and then some for College of Medicine. So pick the one that is the best selection for what the position is going to work. Okay, the rest of this section here with comp details, questionnaires, and assessments, we don't edit any of those. That information, even though you can edit it, we ask that you don't. And so just click next. The skills section, this is auto-populated from the position restrictions. At current state, this is not being used. So just click next. Also qualifications, the same thing. It's on the position restrictions. And we are working, I know that the organizational development and compensation teams are working on getting this information updated. So the organizations section, make sure that it will auto-populate. And again, if it's the cost center, the fund number, your NACUBO, and your PSR numbers are not auto-populating, that means that the position is not updated. So you'll want to, again, I know that you've gotten to this point, but you want to ensure that the hire is correct. You'll want to stop this process, fix the position, and then start this process over again. The service line for ICE right now is the only area that's using it. This is for reporting purposes for them, and they can then select a specific area within ICE. And that, again, this is used for reporting purposes. And then also there's a benefits special arrangement field here. This is mainly used for the faculty group practice insurance. So if that is applicable, you would click there, you'd click into the field, and you would make the selection from the drop down menu. But we're not going to use that for this demonstration. The attachment section, you'll be able to attach anything. You just click on the add, and we recommend that you, or not recommend, we ask that you always attach the updated position description for your compensation and your recruiting team. That'll make it easier for us to be able to get that posting edited and up and running quickly. But we're not going to add one for this demonstration. The compensation section, again, this should auto-populate. Just double check to make sure that it's accurate. Again, the first two fields, total base pay and guidelines, those are fields that we don't usually edit. That would be compensation. However, where it says salary or hourly, depending on the type of person, you want to make sure there's information in there. You want to be careful if you ever see that there's salary and hourly information in at the same time, you need to take one out because that will cause an error when you try to hire the person. The allowance section, at this current time, we're not currently using this. So go ahead and skip that and then go to next. Assigning roles. Those of you that have been doing this process, you're familiar with this, but this is something new within the last year. So you'll just click on add. You're going to want to add whoever the recruiting coordinators are. So the recruiting coordinator for the job requisition, that's the role that you'll want to add for sure. And that typically is the person that is creating the job rec, but it could also be others. So you can add as many people that you need to this role. These are the folks that will be actually doing the processing on the requisition. So they'll be reviewing the candidates. They'll be moving them through the process, setting up interviews, reviewing and initiating the offers. That's who needs to be in this role. So that could be the hiring manager, it could be an admin, or it could be both. So we're going to type in Aaron's name. Now, if you did know your recruiter, you could add the recruiter for their job rec here just by clicking add, selecting that role, and then adding your senior and recruiter. If you don't know, then that team will add those when it gets to them. So go ahead and click next. Now we have the summary. So you'll want to review everything to make sure it's all correct. In the comment field, you'll want to enter in notes for compensation or for your recruiting team if there's anything special that they need to know. And then when you're happy with everything, go ahead and click submit. You can also save for later if you don't want to submit it right now, or you can cancel. I don't remember if canceling will save your changes or not. So if you cancel and it says discard, that means it's not going to save the changes. So if you want to save them, I recommend doing save for later. Otherwise, just go ahead and click submit. Okay. So the second part of the create job requisition process is the additional data. So you'll have a pop-up here and you'll have the blue button that says edit additional data. Make sure you click on that. Do not skip this step. Reference check options. So we do have the option in Workday. If you want to use the reference check process in Workday, the two radio buttons you would select is either the UMS confidential reference questionnaire for nurse or clinical type positions, or confidential references, referee will answer questions about the candidate for non-clinical positions. If you want to, for this demonstration, we're going to just choose the department. Next, the length of the advertisement. You can either do minimum 7 days, specific date. If it's faculty, you can open until filled, or if it's with a sourcing from an evergreen, you'll pick not posting. So this, we selected a date. We're going to go ahead and choose the 30th. Just realize that whatever date you choose, the posting is going to go down at 12:01 a.m. on that day. So this means that the candidates will be able to apply all day Saturday, but only 1 minute on Sunday. So if you wanted to post all day Sunday, you would choose Monday the 1st. So is this benefits eligible? This is really important for you to answer correctly because this will show up on the posting. So for this position, it is benefits eligible. So we'll select yes. This next section, work study, we don't have that on our campus, so just skip that. The salary information here. On our campus, all of our positions are non-classified, and majority of our positions are commensurate with education and experience is what we put on the posting. We rarely ever do a specific salary or a salary range. If you have questions about it, talk with your recruiting team. Now this section here, the salary range, this is what is actually going to show up on the posting. So we're going to actually type out commensurate with education and experience. Required documents, if any. This is a required field. We typically will put resume and the list of the professional references. However, if there's licensing or something else that you want from the checklist, go ahead and select that. When you're finished, you just go ahead and go to the next box, which is optional. We've been selecting proof of veteran status because that's what's recommended by the systems office. If there's anything else, go ahead and select that as well. If there are any special instructions to the applicants, you'll want to enter that here so for instance, if there is either specific licensures or certifications that you need them to have, you'd put that here. And that will show up on the posting. This next field, this is the field that we've all been waiting for. This is the new field where you're going to paste that big old long number from the JFR. I'm sorry, you're either going to enter your JFR approved number, or you're going to put the ServiceNow ticket number in here. So, and that's what
That's the approval. I'm sorry, Tom. That's the approval
Yes,
confirmation number and
Thank
not
you.
the case number.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
No worries.
What she said. If it's JFR though, just to confirm, that'll be the approved JFR number, right?
Correct. Yes, it'll be JFR dash. I'm not sure what serial sequence they're on right now, but whatever that is. So those, all of those approval confirmation numbers and JFR numbers are validated.
Yes. And if you will not be able to leave that field blank, it will Workday will give you a hard error if you try to leave that blank. Supplemental questionnaires. If you go ahead and leave that blank, you'll this next one, if there's equivalencies. So if there are equivalencies and you want the statement applicable equivalencies may be considered on the qualification listed above, you want that posted, then you would check that box. Does the department want to add additional supplemental questions? We go ahead and skip this one, leave it blank. In this next field, the location, if you want to enter that specific location, but most of our departments leave that blank as well. But this would be for reporting purposes. Will this position need a search committee setup? We're not really currently using this setup in Workday, but if you do want to use a search committee process, talk with your recruiting team so we can get that set up for you. Recruitment contact. So this has changed from our last training. So your recruitment contact should be the person in the department that the recruiting team can go to ask specific questions about that position or about candidates. So if an admin is creating the job rec, they may not have the questions or the answers to the questions that the recruiter needs. So you may want to put the actual hiring manager, someone from the department, specifically that can answer those questions here. And then in the next field, you will actually put who you want to be the recruiting coordinator for the job. You'll put their name. It says name, title, and contact information. We just need names. The other campuses use all three because it posts to their posting. We turned off these fields on so they do not post to our site. So this is where you would put that recruiter, whoever's working the job rec, and it can be multiple people. It could also be the same name as you put in the previous field. And those two are required. This next field is not required, but it's a new field. This is the recruiter specific field. So if you know your senior recruiter and your recruiter, please put them in here. This is for reporting purposes for our team. So it's important that this is filled out. Again, it is voluntary, but we ask that you enter that information. If you have a website for your department, you'll want to enter that here. That will show up on the posting so that the candidate can get more information about you. The period activity pay, most positions at UMS do not, this would be a no to answer. However, if it's, for instance, if it's an instructor that's getting paid for teaching a certain number of classes, that would be period activity pay or an example of period activity pay. So you would select yes if that's what this position is going to be paid. Otherwise, it's no. This next field, if you are willing to sponsor a foreign national, then you'll want to check this and that will show up on the site. If you're not willing to, just go ahead and just leave it blank. And this next section is for Arkansas Children's. If they're working on that campus, please select there so that the recruiting team will know we need to do a background and a drug screen. And then put any comments in here that you want the recruiter or the compensation team to see. And then you submit. And look, you're done. And it now goes to, this was in College of Medicine. So it went to the department head, then it'll go to compensation, then the recruiter to post. So that is the process. It is very, very, very simple and quick. We're hoping that once you create that job requisition, it will be posted in a matter of days rather than weeks. Any questions?
Thank you, Tom. We'll give everyone a couple of minutes to get those questions in. I do want to call out a couple of things to that the approval process after you hit submit. So Tom already alluded to, and I want to highlight what's changing. So while you do have to put in a WPRR intake form and input information, that is replacing the hiring request form. While it's replacing it, it's also adding much needed data-driven information that senior leaders need to make an informed decision whether that position is an immediate need or not. What's changing also is the hiring request form's going away. And then once you have approval, that approval confirmation number, and you put that into your job rec and hit submit, the position budget specialist is coming out of the approval path. Budget's already been validated within the WPRR process. We're trying to streamline and align appropriate approvals where needed and not duplicating those approvals at each step in the process. We do have a couple of questions coming in about the FY25 budget being loaded. We are under the impression and have been told that budget will be loaded by 7/1. If it is not, let me get confirmation on that, and we'll have to go from there. Again, that's the budget office, so I can't speak for them, obviously.
Michelle, do I need to go to, is this the last slide before the questions? I know, or did you need another slide?
No, that's fine. You can go back to the resource slide. I'll cover
Okay.
that.
Oops, sorry.
No
I'm
worries.
gonna go backwards. Let's see. I don't know how to go backwards. I don't have my little pop-up, sorry. Little, a little technical difficulty.
Okay, while he's doing that, I'll just call out a couple of things in relation to the WPRR process. Right now, it is going to go live for regular and temporary positions. Contract and or contingent workers will utilize the process in the future. But right now, there will be no changes to contract or contingent worker process. All right, we put together a couple of or a summary of dedicated website, what's listed on the website as process resources. We will, as I stated at the beginning of the presentation and training, we will send out, not send out, but publish the slides on our website. These slides have the links to the how to get to the process, as well as FAQs, the comprehensive process guide. Also want to encourage you to bookmark the workforce position management website and check back frequently, especially after we go live. We are monitoring the process as well as the questions and comments that we get from this training, in addition to questions submitted to workforce position management at uams.edu to enhance the process after go live. We'll have a period of 4 to 6 weeks of initial enhancement that we'll be working through the kinks, and are certainly encourage you to submit any suggestions to us, and then obviously we'll compile all of the questions and take a look at to see what we may need to change. Through some of the questions that you all asked upon registering for this training, we already have a couple of additional resources that we're going to pull together. So please check back often to the website to see if that resource has been added. Let's see, we've got link to the FAQs, the comprehensive process guide, as well as the link to the Workday training. That is an interactive training module. If you hold a security role that can initiate a job requisition or create a position, you have been assigned that training as required. That is live in Workday. I encourage you in the next day or so to go out there and complete that, so you can get your questions to us next week, so that we can hopefully get all of that ironed out before we're ready to kick it off and roll it out on Monday, July 1st.
Great. Michelle, would you like me to show, just so we got it like 6 minutes, do you want me to show them where to find that website on the HR site?
Yes, that'd be great, Tom. Thank you.
Let me go ahead and see if I can do that real quick. So open up your browser. If you go to hr.uams.edu, and that's our main HR page. If you go over here to more and go down to talent acquisition, the workforce position management page is here. So once you click on that, like Michelle said, if you'll click this little star up here, if you're using Chrome, and some of the other browsers have something different, but you'll just save it as a favorite. And then it'll have information. We'll be updating this after this session. Right now we have the register information here, but we'll actually replace that and have this presentation, some of the question and answer information and other information here as well. So this is where you would find that. Michelle, do you want me to show them where to find the PMRR information since we're here?
No,
Or?
no, I want to
Okay.
stay right here. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Right here on the Workforce Position Management website. I want to take this opportunity just to answer a couple of questions. So I did allude that contract contingent workers will follow this process in the future. While we have not began that addition to this process, so I don't have all of those details yet, but I would imagine that those contingent workers who are not being paid would not follow this process. What we're looking to do is manage our workforce through controlling expenses and making sure that our organizational resources are being allocated in the appropriate place. So the slides will be available right here on this website that Tom is showing. So if you'll scroll down just a little bit.
Okay.
We'll put them right there on the training resources. So we'll replace the register for the webinar with the recording link of this webinar. Once we receive that back from our IT team, we'll also have the training presentation slides linked right there. Yep.
And then here's the process guide. A link to start the process, and then the FAQs.
Yeah, click on that FAQs for me. That's a good.
I hope we have something there. Oh, good, we do.
Of course we do.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Michelle.
Why is there a new process? What's the difference? How do I initiate the request? Will you click on the table? Let me see that. No, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm looking for our link. We should have a link to the knowledge base articles in here as well. That's another resource.
I'm not seeing the link for the knowledge base, but oh, here is that
Yeah,
here?
thank
Oh,
you.
there it is. This is it.
No.
Nope. Okay. We might need to update. We might
I think
need
it
to.
was back when. Now, again, everyone, like I said, make sure you save this link and check back often as we go through. We're not quite live. We're still working through some of the communication or the documentation and the resources. So check back often for updated documents and links. Heather asked a great question. What about concurrent employment? So concurrent employment is not determined until a candidate is selected. You still have to obtain approval to fill that vacancy. So you would follow this process to fill the vacancy. Then concurrent would then be determined once a candidate is selected for that vacancy. All right, I'm not seeing any
Did
more
you see
questions
Did
come
you see the
through.
question about the PAP adjunct faculty? Is that a contracted? But that's not a paid position, is it? Or is
period
that-
activity pay? Yes, that is a paid position.
Okay.
No, that would not be considered a contract. They hold a position. If they sit in a position number within your super org, it will need to follow this process. It is an expenditure going out.
I went ahead and answered that.
All right, looks like we're right at 3 o'clock. We thank you all for joining and sticking with us, asking the great questions, creating good conversation. Check the website for additional resources in the next week. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a great day.